I'm Lucas,
And I'm Russell.
and you're
You're
listening.
listening to Sad Boy Podcast.
Yeah, sad boy.
Sad Boy Podcast. Welcome back to the Sad Boy Podcast. Today, we do not have Lucas because he's busy. So, it's me and this other dude that I found. He's called Ben.
Where'd you find
Hello,
me?
Ben. I don't know.
Oh,
Where did I find you?
hell if I remember. From the ground?
Yes, you broccoli man. Yes, this week it is us two talking about stuff. And a lot of stuff has been happening actually lately. A lot of serious things. And Ben's not that controversial in terms of his opinions,
Nah.
but Ben does think differently. And again, because of this, just because someone thinks differently than you doesn't mean that they're a bad person or whatever. You can still like that person, even if they think differently, because every single individual in this world is unique that way. Am I right, Ben?
Tolerance, right?
Yeah, life is all about tolerance. Yes.
I mean, some have it, some don't.
Do you have it? Do you have tolerance, Ben?
I think so.
You do. You actually do. You actually have a lot of patience and tolerance.
I mean, it first started when I played chess. You can't.
You used to play chess?
Yeah, dude. Grade 4 all the way to grade 8. First place in my town or region area.
Okay, but like how many people play chess in your town?
Well, there was little kids, it's like grade kids. So like a
True.
good handful.
True. And this is where, last time Ben was on his podcast and we totally forgot to bring this up, but Ben was born in a very small town called Midland up north. It's not like Midland and Finch, but like an actual city called Midland. So like I actually wanted to ask Ben last time, like, how was it growing up in an environment where like what was it like you were like the only Asian person in the town?
Well, that's kind of a hyperbolic statement, but yeah, it was me and a few other Asian families in Midland, so it wasn't like a small town; it was like a medium town. Like we had like 3 high schools, so it was like big enough.
3 high schools, not bad.
Yeah, and then now it just shrank to 1 because there's no kids up there.
Oh wow. But how was it growing up? Like, because I feel like we're gonna slowly like go into like the topic of racism and anti-Asian hate crimes right now because it's happening quite a bit in the U.S. So
Yeah.
for now, we'll just we'll stick to how it was for you growing up there.
Let's see. Growing up, so Midland is a very, very Caucasian town. And there's a First Nations around, so they're part of the group.
Oh,
also.
Really?
Yeah, First Nations people. Yeah,
crazy.
Some of them they had to take a ferry to go to high school that I went to.
Wait, like they had to take a ferry, or you had to take a ferry?
They had to because they lived on their lands, I guess.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, so we had that in the mix. And then all white people, I guess, in the high school, and then me and my sister or my cousin.
Was that literally like the 3 Asian people in your school?
Yep, at one point, and then there's some few other ones that were there.
So you grew up in a very predominantly white area.
Yes.
But did you experience racism?
Yeah, when I was younger, I did. And after that, it went away, more or less.
Really?
Like
did they ever make fun of you for like food that you brought to school?
Probably at one point, but I don't think it affected me too much because I was eating it. But then my mom usually made like the simple ham and cheese sandwich kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then
so it wasn't even too bad then.
No, it wasn't that bad. But I remember back in like grade school or kindergarten, I guess, I had another Asian friend, my age, whatnot. We were in kindergarten, and then we were speaking Cantonese to each other. And then the teacher, who is a nice older looking lady, I guess, telling us to stop talking because we were disrupting the class. And then eventually she punished us because we were talking. So she put us in a corner, but we still kept talking in Cantonese.
So the teacher was useless.
More or less. So
Oh,
that didn't solve the problem.
because because like because yeah, you grew up in like a pretty much like a white community, and
Yeah.
you experienced like not that much racism growing up. I mean, like even a lot of your friends are all like Caucasians too.
Yep.
Yeah, because like I guess it's like trying to draw like a comparison because I grew up in Markham, which
Yeah.
basically had a lot of Asians and probably has even more Asians now. And like even the high school I went to, like there was a lot of white people too, right? But like it's not like there wasn't much racism going on in my high school, at least, right? And obviously, like I guess in a way, like me and your situation were kind of the more, I guess, I don't like using the word, but like I guess more privileged in the fact that we never experienced like full on racism.
Like no, like I has felt racism at one point, but like it wasn't like any violence or whatnot.
Yeah,
The eye squinting was one of them. Like whatever. And then do you know the Asians the song "Me Chinese, me no dumb, me stick my thumb up daddy's bum" or something like that?
no, I do not know that. The only thing I know is that after in elementary school, when me and my friend watched Naruto,
Yeah.
you know how Naruto like the thousand years of pain. We got
Yeah.
in trouble for trying to do that to each other. I just exposed myself on the podcast,
Just
but
don't
that's
name the
all I
victim.
know. Yeah, I'm not gonna name the victim. I mean, I was one of the victims too, but
Oh my god. Did you say it out loud?
no, 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 no.
Like
Actually,
in
yeah, I did.
Japanese? Nice.
No, I was just like thousand years of pain, and then yeah, and then I got in trouble for that. Yeah, yeah, but no, like I remember the squinty. I think even my high school. I think it's funny because my grade 10 science teacher, he was the one that like kind of was talking to class, and he's like, "Oh, I don't get why people say like Asian people have small eyes. You only need the pupil of the eye to actually see things. So regardless of how quote unquote small you think someone's eyes is, like they can still see perfectly fine."
Yeah.
I think that's what he said, something about like that whole stereotype thing, and I'm like, I remember I think hearing it, I'm just like, I don't know how you got to this topic, but okay, cool. And even now, I'm just thinking like I don't even know what the context was. Like he just randomly started talking about that. Right?
I mean, it could be like a his food for thought kind of thing.
I don't know. Maybe that teacher was weird. He was a nice guy, but it was weird because like he even told me at one point he had like he I think he was like doing like his blood pressure or whatever or heart rate, and it was like skyrocketing to the point where like he should be having like a heart attack.
Uh oh.
But he was like super calm, and he's just talking to the ambulance on the phone. And he's like, "I feel fine. I don't know what's happening." And they're like, "You should go to the hospital, sir." And he's like, "Oh, okay. I'll drive myself then. Okay, see you there." And like he was totally fine. I was just like, "Wow, okay, it's completely weird, right?"
He's still teaching?
I believe so. I believe so. Yeah, yeah. My school had a lot of weird people,
I
but
mean,
anyways,
there's weird people everywhere.
oh, I know, definitely. I think there's a lot of them in the U.S. right now, right? Because the biggest event that's happened lately um has been the spa shooting,
Yeah.
and with the spa shooting, I feel like I'm gonna get hate for this, even though it's kind of like it's weird. Nowadays it's those things where like if your thinking or mentality is not the same as everyone else's, even if it's similar, you're still like villainized for some reason.
Like I said, tolerance of ideas, right?
Yeah, and no one's tolerating anything anymore, right? So I remember I was talking to like a friend, right? And we were talking about the spa shooting, and then she was basically saying like it's a hate crime. And I said, yes, it is a hate crime. It's just at the time when it was reported, I
Hmm.
think the shooter was saying how like, oh, like it's not like something that's targeting Asians, like it's not a hate crime or whatever, right? So at first when I'm looking at it, I was like, okay, this seems more like an incel attack,
Yeah,
right? Because not even to judge, but even just look at the picture of the dude, I'm like, kind of
he,
looks like an insult to me, right?
he looks like
But
one.
then
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, he actually looks like one, right? And then you start like looking into it deeper, and then for me, I'm starting to think it's like, I think in terms of like factors, I think incel is probably like the first one,
Hmm.
and then like really closely right under it is that it's an incel attack targeting Asians, right?
Yeah.
At these Asian spas, and it's like the thing with Asian spas is that everyone in the world knows that there are Asian spas out there and massage parlors that does inappropriate things,
Hmm.
right? And a lot of these massage parlors are owned by Asians. So when the news first broke out, I was kind of like, before we all go and jump on this, you know, instant, like white people, white supremacy, racist attack on Asians, I tried to try to think of like other factors, right?
Yeah. The whole
Because I
picture,
didn't,
right?
yeah, because I feel like right now, what things are, it's like no matter what, everyone will always jump to things like racism, homophobic, like sexist, like no matter what, those are always like the spotlight in
Hmm.
terms of factors, right?
The go-to list.
Yeah, and for me, it's kind of like I prefer to wait and critically analyze the situation first before I jump into these things.
Hmm.
Um, So that's why I was saying like this whole spa thing, like to me, it felt like an incel attack that was based around Asians. But regardless of what it was, incel or Asian, it's still a hate crime because technically incel is a hate crime towards women,
Yeah.
right? And then apparently there's something else where like apparently they posted this dude's Facebook and he was actually talking about how he blames China for coronavirus and he wants to make the Chinese people accountable. But then it's also like Chinese people does not mean they're Chinese government. The Chinese government is completely separate.
No kidding, right?
So I think it's like there's a lot of miscommunication and misinterpretation to the American people right now, or to the Caucasians mainly.
And I think one of the victims was Korean. I think a few of
Yeah,
them were Korean. So like, you can't say all Asians are the same, right? That's his
yeah,
blanket statement.
yeah. And even like that Korean woman that passed away, unfortunately. Apparently, one of them was like a single mom and had two sons.
I saw that. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, yeah, that's actually pretty sad. But then it's like the first thing I thought of, like I thought it was sad, but at the same time, I was like, why is it just why are you guys just doing a GoFundMe for just one victim?
Hmm.
Like I get this victim, like you know, you'd want to donate to them, but then what about the other victims, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there are any. I never really looked into it yet because I know like even if I go on Instagram, I see all about it already.
Yeah.
But like it is quite a tragic thing that happened. Rest in peace to all of them, and I do hope that the shooter. I mean, he's probably gonna go away for life, anyways, right?
We'll see.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean,
I
like,
mean,
what's your take like on all of this so far?
yeah, it's also same deal with the van attack that happened in North York last year, 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Almost the same thing. He used the van, ran down through what was it, Young Street, and
Yes.
killed and injured people.
Yeah. I
But
remember. He ran over. There was this some Korean snack stand or whatever at Young and Finch. I don't know if you remember.
I think I know where that is. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like the one where they give you like that little fish looking pastry or cake, and the inside is like the red bean stuff. I forgot what it's called.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think
so apparently there was like a Korean girl that was working there, and she was actually here for university,
yeah,
and she died from that. Yeah, but like that attack was mainly like incel related.
yeah. Because I think they said that he was having trouble with women, or like on his Facebook posts, whatnot. So
Yeah,
that led to it.
yeah, but like at the same time, it's like I don't even know. It's That's not a reason to do any of these things.
I know. The thing is, bad people do bad things regardless.
Yeah, and like I remember like reading comments about how like I think someone said like he should like the shooter for the spa thing, right? They're saying like, oh, he should be castrated and thrown to prison for life, and I'm like, as much as I would want to agree, like this whole this whole thing about people going against anti-Asian or anti or like white supremacy or anything, it's like it's becoming like an eye for eye situation,
Yep.
and as much as I want to, get revenge, like even if I think about it, like if someone, hurts, like my parents or whatever, like I'd be pissed and I want revenge too, right? But I don't think we can solve violence and hatred with more violence and hatred.
You kill it with love. That's what you do.
Yeah, you do kill it with love, because it's
Well,
like,
it's
yeah,
hard because you're talking from a rational point of view right now, but until it happens to your parents or family or friend, it'd be hard.
I know it's I know
It's
it's
hard.
really hard. It's really hard, but it's just like I don't know, like it feels like the US is suffering a lot from these situations. And at the end of the day, I still feel like we shouldn't be blaming these things on, for example, one of the things that people said like that quote unquote inspired these attacks was like the sexualization of woman, right? And
Oh
I
man,
think
yeah.
I mean this is like I think it's a pretty long topic too, right? Because it'll be a pretty huge debate because it's I guess it kind of goes back to like um don't I guess don't force a woman to dress in a certain way,
Like
such as
dress
like
codes kind of thing.
yeah, like it's like saying like, oh, women shouldn't dress this way because if they do, it basically provokes men to do it, to quote unquote rape them and all that shit. And then there's also the other side where they start saying like, oh, maybe you should teach men to not do that stuff. But then for me it's like it's middle ground though, right?
Yeah,
Even
it
with
has to
like the
be.
whole yeah, even like the whole media with sexualizing Asian women or whatever, like how about instead of us banning or censoring all these things, why don't we try to educate people to act differently?
That's a long game. It
It
takes
is.
time
All of this is a long game, right? It doesn't make sense to me when people want this to happen like tomorrow, and it's like this shit ain't gonna happen for at least a few generations at this point.
because like I think we're live in an age of instant gratification to some degree, right?
Yeah, everyone wants things like instant, right? And then the whole hyper general sexualization of women, then it starts branching into like what people doing OnlyFans or porn or all that stuff, right?
Yeah,
It's all part of it, and though I do agree that in terms of media, like movies and all that stuff, they do kind of over sexualize Asian women in those movies. I mean, me and you talked about watching Rush Hour
great
and
great
going
movie.
back into yeah, like those are good movies, but like they won't last in today's society anymore.
No, I think like if you watch it today, I think the kids are missing the message. Chris Tucker, a black guy, and then Jackie Chan, a Asian person. Two different cultures. They come together. They kick ass, save the world, kind of thing.
Yeah, and they do some stereotypical jokes, which to me, when done properly in the right timing, I think is fine.
I think the thing is context. Like they have rapport with each other, right?
Yeah,
Because
and
I have those types of rapport with my white friends. Um, yeah, we name nickname each other, right? Sometimes they call
yeah,
me Chinaman kind of thing, and then I just fire back white man kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Like it happens a lot in I guess behind closed doors. I know
Yeah,
people are kind of more pissed off about how like people like public people, I guess like celebrities,
yeah,
like they should be more careful, right? So I know like we've talked about the whole I mean, we even talked about like, the whole Star Wars thing, right? Like if you're a celebrity for a company, you do kind of have to, adhere to the company's brand and all that stuff. So therefore, you do have to watch what you say.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think you had your own view on that too.
because that's a company able to control the narrative of speech, right? Because obviously I know where you come from, where the actors are the branding for the company, but they're able to silence you from voicing your opinions, even though if you
Yeah,
hate it or whatnot. They're
yeah,
they're they're exchanging your freedom of speech with money in a
basically.
sense.
Yeah, yeah. See that, like, that part I can agree, but at the same time, like, I mean, I get where you're coming from. Um, but it's just like for companies, like, it's like even like the company that you work for right now, right? Like,
Yeah,
if you start going around talking about, like, I guess, really rude and disrespectful stuff on the internet,
yeah,
then you do kind of ruin the brand of the company as well that you work for.
yeah. And also, it depends if the company really cares either, or it depends what the severity is, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And to be honest, when it comes to like company stuff, every time I see them post about, like, oh, we are against this and this and we stand with you guys, it's all corporate virtue signaling to me.
Yep. No, action speaks volume.
Yeah, I like in terms of marketing and PR stunt, it's nice for them to kind of, say those things, but at the end
Yeah.
of the day, they don't really care.
No, I think it's just to defend themselves from any backlash, right?
Oh yeah, 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 of course. Because I remember, I forgot which celebrity it was. Oh, I remember. I think it was, Chris Pratt.
Yeah. Who
Um,
doesn't?
I don't know. Some people might not. No, he had this thing where, like, he was talking about something about religion, and people tried to cancel him.
Yeah.
And then you had a lot of celebrities like Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr. They all came out to defend Chris Pratt, and
Hmm.
then apparently people gave Elizabeth Olsen shit because she didn't come out to defend him.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, what the hell? And like all of this, it kind of goes back to like last week's episode when me and Lucas talked about, like, it's okay to fail. Like, I think nowadays it's almost as if society and social media wants every single person to be perfect.
It's hard. I mean, we're
Yeah,
humans, right? There's no such thing as perfect.
yeah, there's no such thing as perfect, and yet there's constantly still pushing for this narrative that, if you're not fighting for this, you're a bad person. If
Sounds
you don't say
very
anything,
binary.
it is. And then, like, even last time we were talking, right?
Yeah.
We've talked about, the novel of 1984.
Oh hell yeah.
Wasn't it? Yeah. So
Good
for the
movie.
people who don't know, do you want to give like a synopsis of what 1984 is?
I don't remember. Essentially, 1984 dystopian novel. Essentially, almost relates what's happening now. Mass surveillance, double speak, uh, mass control. Uh,
Yep.
yeah, mass social control, more or less.
Yep. And like me and you, we've always talked about how, like, the whole novel thing is so similar to what's happening now, right? Like, even going back to, like, what Gina Carano,
Yeah,
like, even her making that, like, similarity kind of thing, like, you kind of see it, right? So I don't want to. It sucks because even I'm trying to watch what I say too now.
oh my god. I don't think we're big enough to be enough to can't get canceled anyway.
You never know, Ben. You never know. 10 years from now, we're gonna get canceled.
Well, yeah, because there's a lady in Teen Vogue or something like that made a racist tweet back like 10 years ago, and now she's
Oh
getting fired for it.
yeah, yeah. I think I read about that. I still don't think that whole cancel culture thing. Like, if it's over like 5, 10 years ago, you gotta understand those are different times.
Yeah,
You gotta
people
judge
change,
those based on the standards of those times. You can't, like, judge those based on what we know now.
like statute of limitations kind of thing.
Yeah, like, it doesn't make sense to me.
It
Like,
throws
people
away
people change.
yeah, it throws away that people can change over time. Obviously, there's some people can change and some people don't change.
Yeah, and even that, like I said, it pushes for that idea that everyone's perfect. Like you have to be perfect. You can't have anything that's rude on social media. Like I'm pretty sure I've said inappropriate and rude things from
Hmm.
when it's social media, when the internet was starting out till now. Like I'm pretty sure I've said some stupid shit.
Oh yeah. Like I was looking at my Facebook posts. Like you know how Facebook tells you you said this or this happened whatever years ago,
Oh
and then
yeah,
and I found out I was like racist to myself way back when. It was
yeah.
hilarious. Like I used to work at Walmart and I was the only Asian person there working, so I got some few Asian jokes in there.
Oh really?
I find it funny too. Like the one of them was he said, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "I was born here." And then he says, "Oh, you're made in Canada."
Yeah.
Like that's funny.
Yeah, like I feel like people need to be able to kind of, I
chill,
guess,
chill out.
chill and loosen up a little bit. Like I I think I said this like one time where it said like the reason why I think there's a lot more like, I guess, race, like hate crimes happening lately is because when people do things, they always want a reaction,
Hmm.
right? So because, you know, these people are starting to attack, you know, Asian people, and it sucks, right? And it's like, even for me, like if I saw it happening, I'd beat that white guy up too. But it's just like, because there is such an immense reaction from our side, and you have the media basically plastering the face of the criminal all over the news, in a way, in my opinion, it kind of inspires all these other people to be like, hey, you know what, just to piss these people off, I'm gonna do this shit too.
Yeah, I
And
think
then
if
once they do something, you know, we Asians retaliate, and then they retaliate, and then it just goes into this huge cycle.
yeah, I think like Asians tend to not make a fuss, like a make a scene out of it, right?
Yeah, we typically don't. Like if you think about it, when COVID first started, yes, Asian hate crimes were going up, but at the same time, it wasn't that crazy until now.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just
Right?
people
Like
just
back,
losing it,
I okay, so I do think it's people losing it, and people who are unemployed. They are so bored, they got nothing to do,
or just
and
trying to point blame on someone or something.
everyone wants to put blame on someone at this point. You know, it's the whole society nowadays. No one wants to take accountability for their own actions anymore. Everyone wants to put accountability on someone else's actions, and that's why I always say, right now the world is in chaos, and some of these people, they live their life in chaos. But in order for them to get order, they think that they need to go on and try to help the world. But how are you able to help the world when your own life is in chaos?
Yeah, like as a if a plane's going down, you secure your own mask. You don't secure the person beside you.
That's literally one of the best analogies I've even told my girlfriend. Like, it makes sense, right?
You have to be
But I think
selfish
it's,
first to some degree.
yeah, yeah, that's what I always say. Like, you have to be selfish to a certain extent, right? It's and it drains you even more if you have nothing to give and you keep giving. It's not beneficial for you. And it's not like I'm trying to tell people to, like, you know, everyone stop doing what you're doing, just focus. Like that one episode when I talked to Parko, like there are some people who work better by helping others, right? And that's
Yeah,
fine. There has to be a balance of both types of people, right? But at this point, it's like, it's not even just society, it's even social media and all of it that puts pressure on people, that it's like, you know what, if you don't care about this, it means you're too privileged. And then people think, oh shit, like I don't want that word to be attached to me, I don't want to sound too privileged, so I'm gonna go and help. But then it's like, you
virtue
guys don't
signaling.
have the, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they start virtue signaling. Like even when the whole spa thing happened, like I get we're trying to raise awareness, and I saw a lot of influencers start posting. But the first thing I thought of was like, this is just virtue signaling. If you guys want to help,
Just do
then
it.
how about you donate a portion of the money you guys make from influencing?
Yeah, or give it
right?
to the family or the mourner or something.
Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of them maybe they do give a little bit, but then it's like you still just give a bit so you can still live, your comfy life.
But like here's the thing, like what if it was it happened to a Caucasian person, right?
See,
Like
that's
would
an
it be a bigger uproar or whatnot, or like would we do having the same outrage whatnot?
it wouldn't. See, nowadays it's almost as if people care more about whether it's one type of skin color attacking another type of skin color than just violence in general,
Easy
right?
clicks.
Like, yeah, in all honesty, violence is bad overall, but for some reason the media has turned it to the point where the moment race is involved, that kind of violence in terms of priority skyrockets up there. And all the other violence, it's the same thing with last year when the BLM protests were happening.
Yeah,
One white cop killed George Floyd. Okay, that was bad.
I think they're still debating on. I think it's still in court right now. I think
I think he has second degree murder,
was it?
if I remember correctly. Yeah, but it's like even right after those times, right? Then you had all the looting, and you had black on black violence, and people didn't seem to care.
Yeah, I think there was a black cop that actually died, and I don't think any media said anything about it.
Nothing, nothing. And and the thing is, like, when people try to talk about this, then you have those other people who just show up and they're like, oh, if you talk about this, you're trying to take the spotlight away from racist hate crimes. And it's like, no, we're trying to treat every violence the same,
Yeah,
right?
as you should.
Like, yeah, as we should. And I get, for example, minorities like black people, Asian people, yeah, sure, we've gone the short end of the stick throughout our time in North America, but violence is still violence,
Yep,
regardless of who hurts who. There's no
yep.
difference,
It's only a
right?
small minority of people that would do that, right?
Yeah,
Like
like,
that's what I learned in Midland, right? I think it's a scaling problem, right? As the population gets bigger, the more people that are bad gets more.
yeah, of course. It's because with the way that I guess North America is ran, um, there's a lot of poverty, and from what I've studied in university and everything, poverty leads to crime,
Yep, desperation.
right? Yeah, this is desperation, right? And no matter how much our politicians talk, they are not solving this issue of poverty, right? That is the root cause. All politicians do nowadays is they put a band-aid on it and think that they've saved the world.
I mean, they're only in
They
there for
haven't.
like a term, like 4 years, whatnot, and that's it.
Yeah, and none of them can do anything.
Yeah,
Even if you
I'm,
look at like the US, right? Everyone's kept saying how like, oh yeah, Biden should be president because then things will change. Well, Biden's president, but I think things are even getting worse right now.
yeah. The border is out
Obviously,
of
with Trump,
control.
it'll get like even if Trump was still in office, yeah, obviously it'll be way worse. But it's like even with Biden, like shit's still getting worse.
Border problems right now. The check is only 1,400, and he said 2,000 at some point.
Yeah,
What's another one? Oh, I read somewhere that the auto workers, like the Ford plant's moving to Mexico,
yeah.
and I think I read somewhere that Trump was stopping that from Ford from doing that.
Oh
Since
my
Trump's
god.
not there anymore, they did it. So the auto workers voted for Biden. That's what they get. They're gonna
Mm,
lose their jobs.
yeah, yeah. Like I mean, I don't want both of us to sound like pro Trump or anything, but at the same time, it's like I think both of us do recognize that the reason why people voted for Biden was because they didn't like Trump.
I think that's the whole thing.
Yeah. Which
I
then it
mean,
kind of makes it seem like the U.S. presidency is just a popularity contest. It's not even just who's actually beneficial for the country anymore.
but in my opinion, it always has been. Regardless, even in the grade school when they did student council and whatnot, it's all popularity contest.
It's always popularity contest. No one actually ever cares about what they can actually do. And for the
Like,
people that think that Biden was going to do something, like, bro, all politicians lie. They've lied since the beginning of time.
yeah, I mean, Biden's a good example right now. With
Yeah,
he says he can keep the jobs here, and oh look, Ford's moving all their manufacturing plant to Mexico.
Yep. Yep. And I'm telling you, the world is in chaos. I mean, like, what? Okay, what's your opinion on white supremacy? Because I mean, you have a lot of white friends, anyways.
Yeah. Um, I don't think it's an issue. It's only like I think it is an issue, but it's not as bad as it thinks. Because like when I was in growing up in a small town, I don't think like they paraded white supremacy and whatnot. I just felt like them also, but just looked different. Like I went to the same parties as them. I relatively drink. No, I did
Yeah,
not drink in high school. I did all the same sports as them. I spoke the same language. Like I don't know if that's another thing also, right? I didn't have an
yeah,
accent. If you have an accent, they'll know that you were born here or whatnot, and they can pick
yeah,
it on you because you don't know the language.
yeah. And like the thing is, like, I mean, like, we're almost out of time, but the other thing I was gonna say is, like, a lot of the racism stuff, it's very prominent in the U.S. In Canada, there's some, but I wouldn't say it'll ever get to the point where the U.S. is, because I feel like the U.S. has a lot more people who are very, they misinterpret things heavily.
I mean, it's a like I said before, it's a population like it's a scaling issue, and there's not that many. They don't see that many Asians, right? Like
And
I
I do
guarantee if you go
believe, yeah,
like if you go in the middle of nowhere in the states, I guarantee there's no Asians there. So
yeah,
they only know Asians through the TV
yeah,
or movies, whatnot, which could be
yeah,
completely wrong.
yeah,
Like I'm not
yeah,
saying like if a white person has one Asian friend, like they can say that they're the token friend and whatnot, but it doesn't excuse them for bad behavior, right? Like, oh, I
yeah,
have an Asian friend. I'm not racist, but they're racist anyway.
yeah. I think at any point, the moment you have to, I guess, mention the skin color of a person, it can already be considered racist. So even like the whole thing about calling white supremacy and all that stuff, like, to be honest, it is kind of racist too.
Because you're
Like,
calling out
obviously,
the
like,
skin color.
yeah, like, it's not like we're trying to defend white people, because they're pretty much, I would say, a lot of them are pretty, effed up.
Yeah,
Now a lot of white people are gonna come after me now.
I mean, like, what if a person like what if a white person went into anywhere not predominant white? Like, if he went to China or any Asian countries, he'd be the minority. So is that white supremacy or Japanese supremacy or whatever it is? Like, for
Well,
example,
apparently that's the other thing, right? If a white person goes to Asia, apparently, like, they still treat the white person really nicely.
yeah, it could be culture too. I mean, like, that's what we know, right? Like,
Yeah,
I guarantee there's the slangs and terms for a foreigner, right?
yeah. For sure, for sure. Like, I think, was it Korea? To give, if you speak English or whatever, like, they'll try to scam you. I mean, it's the same with Hong Kong back then, right? Like, if
Or
they
anywhere
see that
else,
you
yeah,
can't speak Cantonese, like, they'll try to make you pay a bit more.
yeah.
Yeah, I think those are all
It's everywhere.
normal. Yeah, yeah. But
And I think
anyways, our time. I'll let you finish your point.
no, well, I think it's racism is everywhere. It's not just in like states; it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's just right now the media is blasting this stuff from the U.S.
Yeah, that's how you destroy the country. Destroy from within.
Yeah, and also just like another reminder to people, the reason why, if you constantly see stuff about racism, it's also based on the algorithm of social media, because the more you look at something and the more you search at something, the more it will appear on your feed. So it does make that quote unquote illusion like there's a lot of racism, but realistically, the media is only reporting not that much. But I don't want to make it sound like I'm trying to downplay it, because I'm not. Because anti-Asian hate crimes right now, like, it's real, right? And the only thing we can do is kind of stand and kind of educate as many people as we can
I mean,
without turning to violence.
it starts young because I remember when I was in grade school, they we did Chinese New Year like a day with them. We did like
Yeah,
a small like dragon dance whatnot. Like all the little kids lying up behind like the paper head of the dragon and just walked around.
yeah, yeah,
I think it
yeah,
starts small for sure.
yeah. And in my opinion, diversity is a double-edged sword, anyways. But you know, as the generations move forward, it is our responsibility to continue to teach the next generation and all the future generations to just be respectful and kind human beings.
And we were still experiment. We were the only few countries that have multi. cultural people in the country, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's still an experiment. We're still learning.
It's all trial and error. Yeah. But anyways, thank you, Ben, for coming out. And for people who don't know, it is actually going to be Ben's birthday this week.
Oh yeah, yo, I'm so old.
Happy birthday, Ben.
Why, thank you, Russell.
We will see you guys, or you'll listen to us the week after next week, or next week, I mean. And
Oh, we
Lucas
are.
will probably be back by then. Thank you, Ben, for coming out. I'll
Thanks
drag
for the
you
invite.
and Anthony and all of you guys back on eventually again.
Oh God, that'd be fun.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody.
Night, y'all.
Thanks for listening to the Sad Boy Podcast. Please remember to subscribe to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and have a nice day, I guess.
Yeah, stay sad or happy.
Yeah.
Sad?
Happy.
Sad?
Sad
Happy?
boy.
Sad Boy Podcast.
Sad Boy Podcast. Good night.